Yeah. Where were we?
Word, Proverbs 28.
Okay. Yes, we were in Proverbs 28. So we will be recapping that before we move on to Proverbs 29. There are 31 chapters in Proverbs, so we're almost done with it. Kind of be thinking about where you want to go next, even though I will narrow those choices down for you, but I'll take any suggestions as well. So the wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. For the transgressions of the land, many are the princes thereof, but by a man of understanding and knowledge the state thereof shall be prolonged. So the wicked flee when no man pursueth. Why would they flee when no man pursueth? I didn't do a good job of explaining this last time.
Nerves.
Nerves. Kind of, they have nerves, but when you think of pursueth or pursuing, you think of it as bad, like they're being hunted, like people are after them. This is more so nobody's after them. Nobody's following them. They go up, hey, you guys want to do bad stuff? And nobody's like, no. Then they will flee. That's why it says resist the devil, he will flee from you because you don't follow him. So that's kind of, yeah, it's kind of what this one's meaning. If they don't have any followers, if they're not getting any steam in their wind in their sails, so to speak, they will move. They will move on. But when I see this, you think the wicked flee when no man pursues, you think of what it immediately sounds like you're running away, even though nobody's chasing them. And it put it kind of about the riots that happened on January 6th. I think anyway, because you have fear pictures. You see the news, they put fear pictures up. Like this guy's like, oh no, it's so dangerous and scary. All the old dudes are like, I don't care. I'm not getting down. I'm just going to hang out. This dude's taking a nap. I don't know if you see him or not. He's got his arm propped up. So not a very dangerous situation, regardless of what they say. All these people want their Twitter photos and stuff. And then the rioters stayed neatly between the velvet ropes. Not much of a riot, if you ask me. Or maybe they just need to be taught how to do it better. I don't know. Either way, a poor man that oppresseth the poor is like a sweeping grain which leaveth no food. They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things. Better is the poor that walketh in his uprightness than he that is perverse in his ways, though he be rich. Whoso keepeth the law is a wise son, but he that is a companion of riotous men shameth his father. He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor. So better is the poor that walketh in uprightness than he that is perverse in his ways, though he be rich. Proverbs has hit on that quite a bit, hasn't it? It's better to be poor than to be rich through evil. Poor through righteousness than to be rich through evil. But right here in 8, it says something kind of interesting. He that by usury and unjust gain, people who get money in the wrong way, increase their substance, they will gather it for him that will pity the poor. And what does that mean? Where are we getting it with that? So think of, Jesus kind of spoke on this a little bit. If you want to compare what he was talking about with the talents. Talents actually meant food. It didn't actually mean talents back then. Or it meant money, not that. But at a certain point, all this usury, all this money, all this stuff, it's going to go to the point, if you believe like we do, later on down the road. So everything that they get, it will go eventually to somebody who's going to do good for it. All these rich people are trying to take over all the money of the world and keep it for themselves to rule the world. But no one's done it yet. So it's kept going through cycles and cycles until now where it's getting a little bit scary. I'm so Gary. We're waiting on you, but I had to start. All right. He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be abomination. Whoso causeth the righteous to go astray in an evil way, he shall fall himself into his own pit. but the upright shall have good things in possession. So he that turneth away his ear from hearing the law. What does it mean if you hear the law and you believe it, you listen to it, but then you break it? Are your prayers an abomination? How strict is it getting here? It says, he that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination. Y'all aren't very active this morning. I need Gary up front. He answers. So, turneth away his ear from hearing. If you don't even hear the law, if you don't even listen to the law, you think you know the right way and you don't need the Bible to tell you how to live your life. And then you want to pray when things get bad, or then you want to pray when you actually want something. I think that is what it's talking about. You want the benefits of it, but you don't even want to hear all you have to do and all that's required of you to get these benefits for that. So, if you do hear it, and then at some point you mess up, you pray, you ask for repentance and forgiveness, I don't think that prayer to ask for repentance or forgiveness would be an abomination. But if you never wanted to hear it in the first place, you only want to live your best life now type of Christianity, then you're not going to have the best life now, because you're giving up that power of prayer to just not hearing the law, not doing what you want to do. The rich man is wise in his own conceit, but the poor that hath understanding searcheth him out. When righteous men do rejoice, there is great glory, but when the wicked rise, a man is hidden. He that covereth his sins shall not prosper, but whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy. So a rich man is wise in his own conceit. We went over this story. Who's this guy again? We went over it. This is the third time. Bathsheba. Who's that guy? Who is it, Triggy? Yes. What did he do? He looked over, he said, I'm the king, I can have whatever I want, even though that's my friend's wife down there, or a wife of somebody I know. But don't worry about it, I'll just have him go off to battle, get killed, and then come back and do that. So, the rich man is wise in his own conceit. He that covereth his sins, which is what he tried to do there, shall not prosper. Because what happened after all that? He got found out, and this dude tripped him up in his own words, better than I think anybody ever in the Bible. It was like, you're that man. He made him confess to his own sins first and what he would do, and then he showed him that that was him and his own thing. So your sins aren't going to be covered even if you are the king. Whatever you do shall be brought to the light. But whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy. So he did get mercy, and then he did ask forgiveness, did repent. Happy is the man that feareth always, but he that hardeneth his heart shall fall into mischief. As a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the poor people. Over the poor people. The poor get poorer. You ever... Now we'll get into that. The prince that wanted understanding is also a great oppressor, but he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days. A man that doth violence to the blood of any person shall flee to the pit, let no man stay him. What did the pit mean? What was the pit in this sense? The grave, yes. It's not like a fighting pit. You don't have to go fight for your life or anything. You go straight to the pit and let no man stay him. Don't put them up. So back then, if you killed somebody, they were very fast to kill you back. Do not murder is one of the 10 commandments. They had a whole bunch of laws, but that was one of the top 10 in the 10 commandments. So, whoso walketh uprightly shall be saved, but he that is perverse in his ways shall fall at once. He that tilleth his land shall have plenty of bread, but he that followeth after vain persons shall have poverty enough. If you till your land, if you work your land, if you do the things you're supposed to do, you will have what you need. If you don't, you follow after the vain persons. What if you had $50? Just 50. Somebody said, I'll sell you a bag of corn and seed for $50. Another man says, give me that $50 and I'll turn it into $100 for you. And then you can give me that $100, I'll turn it into $150. And you don't have to do anything. What should you give your 50 to? One path, you know you're going to have to work. plant all this seed. It's going to be a long time before you get this food. The other one, this dude's saying he's going to give you $100. All you got to do is give him 50.
Oh, the Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, why do you think that so many people fall for these things? Because they want to get rich quick and not do anything to do that. I don't know how many people have to be warned, how many times I have to tell you, pyramid schemes are still everywhere. How? I don't understand how that's even possible. But he that followeth after vain persons shall have poverty enough. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that maketh haste to be rich, like we were just talking about, shall not be innocent. To have respects of persons is not good, for a piece of bread that man will transgress. What does that mean? To have respect of persons is not good.
Treat one better than another.
Yeah, don't treat somebody else better than another. Why? Because that person that you're treating better is probably used to that. It doesn't care. And the same thing if somebody's treating you better to the point where you probably don't care. You will transgress for a piece of bread, meaning it's worth nothing when it comes to the point. So he that hasteth to be rich hath an evil eye, and considereth not that poverty shall come upon him. So there are ways to get rich quick. Have you guys heard about it? You could rob a bank. That'll get you rich kind of quick. Crypto is getting pretty big right now. I've seen like 100 commercials for it yesterday. You could play video games and get professional, get a lot of money. You just print counterfeit money. It's a good way to get rich. What I'm getting at here and what this is, there's no quick way to get rich. It just doesn't happen. Even if you did get rich in crypto, you had to have bought Bitcoin back when it was, I don't know, if you got in before 1,000, it was probably good because it used to be worthless, and that was like 10, 15 years ago. So that still wouldn't be a very quick way to get rich if you had to go back in time and get all that. So there's just no way without, lotteries and stuff like that. But he that rebuketh the man afterwards shall find more favor than he that flattereth with the tongue. Whoso robbeth his father or his mother, and saith it is no transgression, the same is the companion of a destroyer. He that rebuketh the man afterwards shall find more favor than he that flattereth with the tongue. How many of you, this doesn't apply to any young kids for some reason, how many of you have ever been in a fist fight before? Show of hands. Yeah, how many of you are friends with the person you got in a fist fight with, or were at the time? Yeah, it's weird. It's the weirdest way in the world to make friends. I don't understand how it works. But when you get mad at each other, you don't like each other for a long period of time. Weeks, months, sometimes years even. And then when you fist fight, you're like, this guy's not so bad. And then you'll hang out with him and stuff. It's the weirdest thing ever. I don't know how it works. But if you rebuke a man, take that same strategy. I'm not saying punch him in the face. But rebuking them, you will get favor with them because you're the one that tried to help them and you didn't care. Because you didn't care to upset their feelings, more so than, just building them up when they even know they shouldn't be built up. When someone compliments you and you know that shouldn't be, it feels weird, doesn't it? We're like, oh, you did a good job. Like, no, I did horrible. We lost by like 1,000,000 points. What are you talking about? So, there's something unnatural about it. He that is of a proud heart stirreth up strife, but he that putteth his trust in the Lord shall be made fat. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered. And follow your own heart. That was what? Disney's slogan for forever? Follow your heart. Follow your dreams. Well, the Bible says you're a fool if you do that. You're an idiot. The Bible doesn't take a fool lightly. So, there are paths laid out before all of us. Some are different, some depending on what we do. But if you follow after what you want to do in your own heart, regardless of what anybody on TV or even your parents tell you, you are a fool. You know when parents tell your kids you can be what... Listen, parents. When you tell your kid they can be anything they want to be, you're lying to them. Don't do that. Find that your job as a parent is to find what they're better at, what they're good at, and kind of what they can be the best towards. Kind of steer them and help them out toward that. If you say they can be president or whatever, probably not going to be president. You might be setting them up for failure right off the get-go before they're even out of grade school. So let's keep that into consideration. We're here, and don't tell them to follow their own heart, because the heart is deceitful above all things, and the Bible warns you about that. Some things I wish I would have been told, so I can kind of maybe somebody else can benefit from that. He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack, but he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse. When the wicked rise, men hide themselves, but when they perish, the righteous increase. And we'll just move on to 29. This one's a little bit shorter. We'll go a little bit faster. He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So we'll break this one down by words a little bit instead of pictures. What does righteous mean? What is righteous? I did a whole thing on this one Thursday. And I know all y'all were here. Alright. So it's just being just, lawful. You obey the laws, you do the right thing.
Not Thursday. You was the only one here Thursday.
No, I did it on a Thursday.
Oh.
Yeah. It was probably a couple months ago. But righteous is just, lawful. You do the right thing according to the laws. And what does authority mean? Authority. I don't know what authority means. Sure you do. But in this case, authority means become many, numerous. And it's proven that by the Hebrew word that means of people. So this isn't saying when a righteous man comes into authority to lead everybody. This is saying when the righteous are in authority, because there's so many of them, they win. So if you get everybody in America to agree to something and one person doesn't, guess what is going to happen? They're going to do what everybody in America wants to do, and that guy's just going to have to get over it. So when the righteous are in authority by numbers of people, the people rejoice because there's so many of them and there's so many righteous. No one's getting stolen from, no one's getting cheated. People are happier, people are doing better. But when the wicked beareth rule, not a wicked person, many wicked people have the support, have the following, the people mourn. Because now there's thievery, there's poverty, there's hunger that sweeps the land through that. We're kind of living in all this right here. So when you look at authority as of people, the numbers game, we're outnumbered. I don't know if you know that or not. Christians are kind of outnumbered in America. And it's growing and growing every day. So yeah, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. They're broken down into pictures. Whoso loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots spendeth his substance. The prodigal son who went out with riotous living, spent all his money, and he didn't do that. So if you want to make your parents happy, I can't think of any parent who would want their kid to go out and live like that. So don't go out and spend all your living and money on that. He said, being Solomon, can't ever get over that. You did that to yourself, man. The king by judgment established the land, but he that receiveth gifts overthroweth it. The man that flattereth his neighbor spreadeth the net for his feet. In the transgression of an evil man there is a snare, but the righteous does sing and rejoice. So here we'll go with words again. What is transgression?
Breaking the law.
Kind of breaking the law. A revolt, rebellion, sin, transgression, or trespass. So, I know it's not mentioned there. It's a little bit in Luke. But when it says, forgive us our trespasses, Lord's Prayer says, forgive a trespass. It doesn't mean when you walked on somebody's land that you didn't own. I hope a lot of y'all knew that already. But just a rebellion, a sin, a revolt. So in the transgression of an evil man, there is a snare. What does a snare mean? Well, it's kind of like a trap, kind of like this coyote here. A noose by implication, a hook for the nose. I don't know if that was a snare. That'd be kind of a rough one. Just to be ensnared. So the transgression of an evil man, there's a snare, but the righteous doth sing and rejoice. So every time, like I was saying throughout history, when the evil does finally rise to the top, they go after each other. That usually ends up in a war for everybody. Unfortunately, that's how it works. But when it gets there, everything kind of calms down for a little bit, because even though there might still be in rule, there might still be in power, might still be wicked, it's kind of like having the wicked car still, but now the tires are flat because you had to drive over a bunch of nails to get to where you wanted to be. So you have to spend time rebuilding and redoing that. So in the transgression of an evil man there is a snare, but the righteous doth sing and rejoice. Why do we sing and rejoice when the transgressions of the evil get caught in their own trap? I thought we weren't supposed to do that. We'll get to it. The righteous consider the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it. Scornful men bring a city into a snare, but wise men turneth away wrath. If a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. So what about this one here? The righteous considereth the cause of the poor. How many of you have ever seen a homeless person and wondered how he got that way? Like, what made you homeless? Did you make a bunch of decisions? Do you have a mental illness? Do you just want to be like that? Or are you just lazy? Well, the answer is all of the above. A lot have mental illness. Those are the hardest because they don't really know what world they're in a lot of the time, so they don't have any family to help them, and eventually they just go walking and unfortunately live the rest of their lives on that walk. But there are some people who are poor because of, like what we were just talking about, war, transgressions. They think in a lot of these other places, like the Tigray and Ethiopian thing going on right now, they are funded by outside elements, of course, to fight each other. And the winner of that fight thinks they will get the rewards and the blessings from that, and they will get over the power. You got to think somebody just gave you the power, that gave you the keys to drive the car to get that. If you just so happen to get where you're going, they own the car still. They're going to own all of that. So by doing that, you're just keeping all the people there poor. So that's one reason you can be poor. Two, how many of you guys have seen those people before? They just stand up and hold the signs like, need money, please help, or something. Panhandling. This guy held his own sign and said, panhandlers are fraudulent. So I hung out with some panhandlers once. One guy said he made 50-something thousand a year. Just sitting there with his hand out in Florida, in Destin, Florida. And then at night, they all gather under one of these piers, and they just like party with all the money they got that day. So that's what you're doing. I was like, if you are going to be homeless, Destin and Fort Walton's a pretty good place to be homeless. It's warm. Hang out with your friends under the pier. Just ask people for money and they give it to you all the time. So, yeah. So you gotta be careful who you give your money to. But other people just lie. Homeless. Anything helps. I think you'll be okay. I think she's got a couple of weeks before it gets serious. But that's just me. The bloodthirsty hate the upright, but the just seek his soul. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards. If a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. The poor and the deceitful man meet together, the Lord lighteneth both their eyes. So a fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards. What does that mean?
That's that whole argument back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it drives you nuts. And then all of a sudden at the very end, somebody gives you some really heavy piece of information. You're like, whoa, that makes sense.
Yeah. People will form and fight passionately about an argument they have not even half the details about. They will take stance of a cause and wave a flag that they have no idea what stitched that flag together. So, a lot of times people will do that with things they don't even really involve them. It's not really their business. Like this. We have all this going on, and there's this guy, he's just chilling, minding his own business. He doesn't have to keep part in that matter. But a fool uttereth all of his mind. You've ever been in an argument and somebody just lays it all out there? You ever been in a class or discussion and somebody just lays it all out there? Well, in laying it all out there, you can see what they're wrong about it and where they're right about it. So now you know how to either dismantle that argument or take them down, or you know why they're saying the things they are in the ways that you can form and correct them. So I'm not saying you have to do this to win arguments. you can also do this to help people because they'll tell you everything about it up front as well. The king that faithfully judges the poor, his throne shall be established forever. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. So the king that faithfully judges the poor, his throne shall be established forever. If you treat poor people good, if you are a king and your focus is on making less poor people, if that makes sense. Not saying go out and kill them or anything, but if you make it so good that there aren't that many poor people because everybody's doing so good, that's how you become a good king. That's how people are like, oh, this is a really good one throughout history. But the rod and reproof give wisdom. This is more biblical backing to beat kids. I wonder how many kids Solomon had. Does that say that anywhere? I never thought about that till just now. I bet he did carry around a rod a lot. Having 500 million kids or whatever. Alright, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. Because kids can't raise themselves. It's hard for some grandparents to raise kids as well. But you see that all the time here. Especially in today's kind of generation where the parents are off who knows where, so the grandparents have to take the kids in, little kids, and they're not so much trained to do that in a lot of places. So they give the kids a lot better. Grandparents would hardly ever spank their kids, and now you don't help your grandkids when you do that, when you let them run over. But granted, I get you're in a tough situation, tough spot. The Bible doesn't say you have to read all these books and you have to learn to be the best parent ever. The rod and reproof. Beat them and tell them why. It's as simple as that. Don't beat them and let them think about it because they won't know why. Beat them, then tell them why. Or if you can, just tell them why without beating them. Maybe try that one first, but keep it there just so they know what's up if they don't. Correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul. Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. A servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, he will not answer. So where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. What does vision mean in this sense? Vision.
The big picture.
So you think just have a master plan? Have the vision? This one comes from the word chazon. A sight, mentally, dream, revelation, or oracle, vision. Divine communication in a vision, oracle, prophecy, or a vision of a prophecy. They see, like Sean was saying, later on down the road, they see the future of it and see what it's going to be, even if it's just a picture in their head. But it says right here, write the vision. Not just have it in your head. Write the vision. Where there is no vision, the people perish. One that is written, a written vision. And it comes from the examples, it uses the same word as in Habakkuk 2:2. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. Why would you write a vision?
So you're not the only one with it.
So you're not the only one that has that vision. You put it up. Put it on a monument. Throw it up somewhere. This is our vision. That's what Joshua did. Remember when he took over all the armies? He got a rock, wrote all the laws of Moses, and read them to everybody he had just conquered and took over. This is the vision. This is how we're all going to live under this rule. So he wrote it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. So we're not at the vision yet, but this is the vision that we're going to work to. And once we get there, it will not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So if you have the vision, you strive for it, it's going to happen. It's how you make things happen. What is our vision? What do we have written?
Kingdom of God.
The kingdom of God? Cool. What about it? We don't even know what it looks like. How are we going to write that down? So the vision. Visions are important. Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope of a fool than of him. He that delicately bringeth up his servant from a child shall have him become his son at length. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man abundeth in transgressions. So there was a law back then. If you did have a servant from birth at a certain point, and then he took over a lot of your business, he would get part of the inheritance, even though he wasn't your blood, from your son. And that was a biblical thing to do, is even kind of made a law back then. So the delicately bring up his servant from a child shall have him become his son at length. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. Whoso is partner with the thief hateth his own soul, and heareth cursing, and bewrayeth it not. The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. So what is bewrayeth? Bewrayeth. Bewrayeth in this sense means to front or stand boldly out opposite, to fight against. So if someone, he heareth cursing and bewrayeth it not. How many of you, when somebody said a bad word, say, don't say bad words, or you shouldn't be speaking like that? Ezra does a good job of it, but none of the other ones of us do, right? Well, this is biblical. He's actually obeying it. When you hear cursing, when you hear things like that, and you berate it not, you're in the wrong part. You hate your own soul. But the fear of man bringeth a snare. We're talking about fear again. We just talked about that Wednesday. Fear of man bringeth a snare. Talked about snares already today. But whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. Why is it bad to fear man? Because they're going to mislead you. Why are you afraid of men? Because they can beat you up or hurt you because you can't buy or sell without it. And I know sometimes it's tricky because there are people who have power that can do a lot to you. But at the same time, if you give power to that, you forget the one who can do anything he wants to any of us at any time. So who's the step above all of that? Who's pulling the far strings? You guys like quote Alvin York. Everybody know Alvin York? I don't know if he really said this or not because it's the internet and it's hard to tell. But the fear of God makes a hero. The fear of man makes a coward. Does that make sense? Or have I not gotten far enough along in my fear series yet? Might do. That's what we'll be doing next too. Many seek the ruler's favor, but every man's judgment cometh from the Lord. And an unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is abomination to the wicked. So how many of you guys, so all the riots, the homosexual riots, the abortion riots, the dudes coming out with like satanic blood shoes and all that, which just happened. What was his name, kids? The guy that came out with the devil blood shoes. See how they knew the name? Did y'all know that was happening? No? You didn't know? Right under your noses? Cool. Alright, well it was. And so all these things that they do that look like an abomination to us, well, when we do holy things and when we fight back against it, when we say you shouldn't go out drinking, partying, doing drugs, you should remain pure until marriage, you should help your neighbor and help the poor, they look at us like we just looked at the devil's shoes. They're like, ugh, those brainwashed, warped, abominable people. Why? Because that is the battle we're in. We're fighting not against flesh, but against principalities. That is a perfect example of a principalities. Where do their principles lie that they're fighting against? And we will see. It seems so obvious to us, like, what would create a better society? Devil shoes, homosexuals, and you know what? All of you guys just be homosexual. And in about 50 years, when all of you are gone, because you can't reproduce, we'll see who had the better idea. We'll see which one nature favored, right? So, but just, it's hard to fight, but no, you're not always fighting the good that they can see, they just choose not to. They see you as an abomination just as much as you see them as the abomination. And that is Proverbs 29. Hope I didn't go over time. 5 minutes, that's fine. Yeah.